Today we'll be talking about a science fiction film called Shin Ultraman. Be ready for some spoilers ahead. Sometime in the future, giant monsters known as kaiju begin appearing across Japan, forcing humanity to fight back using military power. Fortunately, humans manage to defeat the creatures one by one, but each new monster seems stronger than the last. This time, a kaiju attacks power grids in the countryside, forcing civilians to evacuate while the military sets up an outpost in a nearby forest. A special kaiju research team immediately begins monitoring the creature as it continues destroying the town. However, people soon realize that the enemy has somehow become invisible. Experts believe the creature's skin can manipulate visible light, making laser weapons ineffective against it. Before long, the monster reaches a second power grid. This time, the researchers discover that the kaiju is actually consuming electricity. The absorbed energy appears to make the creature even stronger, allowing it to destroy entire areas and leave nothing but ruins behind. The military quickly responds by launching multiple missiles at the monster. However, the kaiju senses the incoming attack and fires a powerful energy beam, destroying all the missiles in midair. The attack only makes the creature more aggressive as it tears through everything nearby, leaving devastation in its path. As the situation becomes desperate, a kaiju specialist named Shinji notices a young boy trapped inside the danger zone. Without hesitation, he rushes in to rescue the child. Moments later, the team receives even more alarming news. A mysterious flying object is approaching Earth at incredible speed. The object suddenly crashes into the battlefield, creating a massive shockwave that sends the kaiju flying across the field. The explosion also knocks Shinji unconscious as he shields the young boy from harm. The military personnel are left stunned when a gigantic humanoid figure emerges from the dust clouds. The mysterious being is known as Ultraman. The kaiju immediately attacks by firing powerful beams at the giant warrior, but the energy attacks seem completely ineffective. Ultraman calmly walks toward the monster while absorbing the energy from the attack. Realizing it is losing the battle, the kaiju suddenly turns invisible and retreats toward the mountains. At the same time, Ultraman slowly raises his hand into the air. The humans detect an enormous surge of energy coming from the silver giant. Seconds later, Ultraman releases a devastating blast that completely destroys the nearby mountains. The beam eventually strikes the kaiju directly in the head, creating a massive explosion that shakes the entire city. Ultraman's attack completely destroys the mountain along with the giant monster, saving countless human lives in the process. After the battle, the silver giant seems to notice the destruction he caused before flying into the sky and disappearing from every radar system. Surprisingly, Shinji also survives the incident and safely carries the young boy away from the battlefield. However, after returning from the kaiju attack, Shinji's teammates begin noticing strange changes in his behavior. Asami, in particular, realizes that his habits and personality seem completely different from before. Before the team can fully discuss the situation, another kaiju suddenly attacks a nearby city, forcing civilians to flee in panic. The military quickly sends the research team to a nearby base as officials try to understand why the new creature has appeared. The monster is eventually discovered heading directly toward a nuclear facility. It appears to be attempting to consume the nuclear waste stored inside, which could cause catastrophic damage if the facility is breached. The kaiju continues digging toward the plant while the Japanese government requests assistance from the Americans, who deploy specialized bombs against the creature. However, despite repeated aerial bombardments, the monster shows no signs of slowing down. Eventually, the American forces are forced to retreat after running out of explosives, leaving the Japanese government with very few options remaining. Soon, the creature bursts out from underground and begins moving across the surface, traveling through the mountains. Realizing there is no other solution, the humans prepare to intercept the monster on foot. At the same time, Asami notices that Shinji has mysteriously disappeared. Shinji runs through the forest alone and activates a strange device that transforms him into Ultraman. This time, the silver giant appears covered with glowing red patterns. The people are left stunned as the massive titan launches into the sky at incredible speed. Meanwhile, the kaiju finally reaches the nuclear facility and prepares to destroy the building using its enormous head. Fortunately, Ultraman arrives just in time. He spins through the air and delivers a powerful flying kick that sends the monster crashing away like a rag doll. The attack only enrages the kaiju further. The creature charges at Ultraman aggressively and slams the silver giant against nearby structures. As the battle continues, the monster attempts to pierce the giant humanoid while also damaging the facility around them. Ultraman quickly fights back and knocks the kaiju flying across the battlefield. He then grabs the monster's tentacles, spins the creature through the air, and throws it violently into the mountains. Unfortunately, the attacks are not enough to stop the kaiju. The creature finally reveals its face and lets out a furious roar toward Ultraman. Moments later, the monster begins charging energy and fires a powerful laser beam directly at the silver giant. Surprisingly, Ultraman manages to block the attack and slowly absorbs the energy while moving closer to the beast. However, as the battle continues, the red patterns on Ultraman's body begin turning green, showing that his power is starting to weaken. Luckily, Ultraman closes the distance just just in time and lands a devastating punch that sends the kaiju crashing to the ground. He then grabs the enormous creature, lifts it onto his back, and leaps high into the sky, carrying the monster away from Earth. The people watching the battle realize that Ultraman has once again saved the planet. For the first time, many humans begin believing that the giant warrior is truly on humanity's side. When the team finally returns to their base, they are shocked to see Shinji suddenly appear again, just as mysteriously as he disappeared earlier. The group heads back to their office and begins investigating the origins of the Silver Giant. Meanwhile, news about Ultraman spreads rapidly across the internet. Before the researchers can discover anything important, all the computers suddenly begin malfunctioning. At the same time, every file and piece of research is mysteriously erased. Just as the team starts losing hope, a mysterious being named Zarab suddenly appears before them. The stranger explains that he is an alien from another planet, just like Ultraman, and claims that he wants to meet Japan's prime minister personally. To everyone's surprise, Zarab is also able to restore all the deleted computer files. He attempts to convince the humans that he has come to help them. Soon, the prime minister is informed about the alien visitor and agrees to hold a meeting with him. During the meeting, Zarab offers advanced technology that could help humanity fight the kaijus. However, there is one condition. Japan must agree to become subservient to the alien race. After hearing this, Shinji immediately realizes that Zarab cannot be trusted. He quickly tells his partner to warn the rest of the team. As Shinji's partner leaves the car to deliver the message, Zarab suddenly approaches Shinji and accuses him of interfering with his plans. The alien reveals his true goal. He intends to create conflict between nations by helping only Japan, eventually triggering a global war that could wipe out humanity. Zarab believes humans are too dangerous to continue existing. After revealing his intentions, he knocks Shinji unconscious and secretly takes him away. Soon afterward, the Kaiju Research Department receives alarming news. Reports claim that Ultraman is attacking a human city. The military responds immediately and launches numerous bombs toward Ultraman. However, every attack proves completely useless against the massive Titan. With no other options remaining, the government agrees to sign the unfair contract with the alien, hoping the deal will help them stop Ultraman before more destruction occurs. Soon, it is revealed that Shinji is being held captive in a hidden location. After some time, he regains consciousness and finds himself face to face with Zarab. The alien reveals that he has been impersonating Ultraman in order to trick the world into believing he is humanity's true savior. Even worse, Zarab secretly leaks footage of Shinji transforming into Ultraman onto the internet, causing the government to label Shinji as a wanted criminal. However, unknown to most people, Asami has received Ultraman's transformation device, known as the Beta Capsule. Shinji secretly sent it to her before being captured. Around the same time, Shinji's partner approaches Asami and explains that he managed to locate the captive man. Shinji had intentionally left traces of ink behind to guide them to his location. This gives Asami the chance to rescue her friend immediately, while the fake Ultraman continues attacking the city once again. Before long, Asami successfully finds Shinji and quickly frees him from the chair, keeping him restrained. She returns the Beta Capsule to him and desperately asks him to stop the impostor before more innocent people are harmed. However, before they can finish talking, a gigantic hand suddenly smashes through the building and grabs Asami, lifting her into the air like a toy. Fortunately, Shinji quickly transforms into Ultraman, summoning his giant form right before everyone's eyes. Seeing his friend in danger, Ultraman strikes the fake giant and knocks Asami safely into the air before kicking the enemy across the battlefield. He catches Asami carefully and places her safely on the ground before turning his attention back to the enemy. Soon, the two gigantic humanoids clash in an intense battle. Ultraman gradually gains the upper hand, forcing the imposter to retreat into the sky. Ultraman immediately fires a powerful energy blast that sends the enemy flying through the air with tremendous force. The fake Ultraman crashes into a large building and begins returning to his true appearance, finally revealing himself as Zarab. Ultraman quickly confronts the alien, but Zarab temporarily stuns him using mysterious powers. This allows the enemy to escape into the sky, with Ultraman chasing closely behind. The two continue their fierce battle high above the city. Eventually, Ultraman catches up and fires his powerful laser beam once again. Zarab struggles to block the attack, but the distraction gives Ultraman the perfect opportunity to launch an energy disc at the alien. The attack slices Zarab in half, completely destroying him and ending the threat once and for all. People watch in disbelief as the silver giant flies across the sky, saving humanity once again. However, despite everything Ultraman has done for mankind, the truth about his identity is finally revealed. The government now knows that Shinji is connected to the silver giant. As a result, authorities begin searching for Shinji once again while suspending all of his teammates from duty. Things become even more alarming when the team captain receives shocking news, forcing the group to rush into the city streets immediately. There, they discover another giant figure standing in the middle of the city. To everyone's shock, the giant turns out to be Asami. The team quickly realizes something is terribly wrong. Asami appears completely hypnotized and does not respond to her teammates at all. Suddenly, the giant woman raises her arm and attacks a nearby building, causing civilians to flee in fear. Before she can cause further destruction, a mysterious voice echoes through the air and announces that the attack was only a demonstration. The voice also warns humanity that Ultraman is not the only being capable of becoming a giant. Moments later, the mysterious voice disappears. At the same time, Asami suddenly turns around and collapses onto the ground after losing consciousness. This gives the authorities the chance to temporarily restrain her while they try to stop another possible attack. However, nobody understands how to return her to normal. Before the humans can decide what to do next, a mysterious man named Mafilas suddenly appears before the group and reveals that he is also an alien. Mafilas explains that he was the one responsible for transforming Asami into a giant. He then reveals technology similar to the device used by Ultraman. To demonstrate its power, Mafilas quickly restores Asami to her normal human form. When she wakes up, she has no memory of what happened. The alien then reveals his true proposal. He wants to share this advanced technology with humanity and help Japan weaponize the beta box by using it on military forces. According to Mafilas, this power would allow Japan to dominate the entire world. In exchange, he demands to become the nation's leader. Believing that Earth may soon face even greater threats from outer space, the Prime Minister reluctantly agrees to the deal. Soon afterward, Mafilas tracks down Shinji and reveals that he knows exactly how the man became Ultraman. The alien explains that when Ultraman first arrived on Earth, the impact from his landing accidentally killed Shinji. Feeling responsible, Ultraman chose to save him by merging his own existence with the human's body. However, this action also violated an important law from Ultraman's home planet. Mafilas further explains that Ultraman's fusion with a human proves that humanity can be transformed and weaponized through the beta box technology. The alien plans to use humans to build an army under his control. After hearing this, Shinji refuses to let Mafilas carry out his plan, even if force becomes necessary. Soon, the alien attends a meeting with the country's leaders as they begin a ceremony to recognize Mafilas as the new prime minister. In exchange for humanity's cooperation, Mafilas presents the promised beta box technology in front of everyone attending the event. Suddenly, a massive hand grabs the device. The crowd is shocked to discover that Ultraman has arrived to stop the alien's plan. Furious at the interruption, Mafilas transforms into his true form and grows into a gigantic humanoid, preparing to battle Ultraman directly. The two giants immediately leap away from each other as Ultraman launches an energy disc toward the enemy. However, the attack has little effect on Mafilas. The alien quickly fights back by firing a powerful laser beam. Fortunately, Ultraman manages to deflect the attack just in time. Mafilas then rushes forward and kicks Ultraman into a nearby building, before grabbing the silver giant and slamming him onto the ground. The two powerful beings soon become locked in an intense stalemate. Realizing that physical combat is not enough, both giants unleash their full energy attacks against each other at the same time. As the battle continues, Mafilas slowly begins gaining the advantage because Ultraman's power source, linked to his human form, starts weakening. Just before Ultraman can be defeated, Mafilas suddenly notices that another presence is watching the fight. This immediately causes him to stop battling. He announces that he is no longer interested in conquering Earth. Ultraman listens carefully and decides to return the beta box to the alien. Moments later, Mafilas disappears into the sky. Meanwhile, the kaiju research team arrives at the area searching for Shinji, only to witness Ultraman vanishing without a trace. It is later revealed that Ultraman has returned to the location where Shinji originally died. There, he reflects on his decision to merge with the human. At the same time, another alien from Ultraman's home planet arrives on Earth. The newcomer is named Zafi, and he was the mysterious observer who interrupted the battle. Zafi explains that Ultraman violated an important law by merging with a human, and he has come to take him back. Even worse, Zafi plans to destroy Earth by unleashing a powerful weapon known as Zetin. He believes humanity's ability to use the beta capsule makes them too dangerous to exist. However, Ultraman argues that Zafi is making a terrible mistake. He believes humans are capable of kindness and sacrifice, just as Shinji risked his life to save the young boy earlier. Determined to protect humanity, Ultraman decides to stop Zetin himself, even if it costs him his own life. Soon, a mysterious object appears in Earth's atmosphere. The device rapidly expands into a gigantic robotic structure floating above the planet. People all around the world stare at the enormous object in fear, unaware that Earth is on the verge of destruction. Shinji quickly reunites with his teammates and explains that Zetin is an incredibly powerful weapon capable of destroying the entire solar system. However, even with all of humanity's nuclear weapons combined, the explosion would still not be powerful enough to destroy the enormous robot. With no other options remaining, Shinji leaves behind a mysterious file before stepping outside and transforming into Ultraman once again. The silver giant immediately flies toward the massive enemy and attacks with everything he has, launching multiple energy blades at the gigantic machine. The robot quickly retaliates by firing devastating energy bombs toward Ultraman, forcing him to defend himself desperately. Ultraman uses all of his remaining strength to block the attack, attacks, but the enemy proves far too powerful. Eventually, the massive force sends the silver giant crashing back toward Earth. As Ultraman falls through the atmosphere, he reverts back into Shinji and drops into the ocean below. Fortunately, Shinji survives the attack, but his body is left in critical condition because of the damage from the battle. News of Ultraman's defeat quickly spreads across the country. The Prime Minister and the rest of humanity realize there may be no way left to save Earth. Meanwhile, as the giant weapon continues charging the energy needed to destroy the planet, Shinji's teammates begin examining the files he left behind. They discover that Ultraman secretly provided the mathematical formula connected to the beta capsule. To their surprise, the information could actually help them defeat the enemy. The team develops a risky plan to open a portal in space and send the massive weapon into another dimension far away from Earth. Soon afterward, Shinji regains consciousness, and his friends explain the plan to him. However, there is one major problem. Only Ultraman has enough power to open the portal, and doing so will likely trap him inside the other dimension as well. Even after learning the risks, Shinji willingly accepts the mission because he believes humanity is worth more than his own life. The man steps outside, says goodbye to his friends, and transforms into Ultraman for what may be the final time. The silver giant flies into the atmosphere and approaches the enormous weapon. As Ultraman gets close enough, he opens a portal connected to another dimension and charges directly towards Zetin. Using all of his strength, Ultraman breaks through the enemy's barrier and forces the giant weapon into the black hole-like portal. After succeeding, Ultraman desperately tries to escape the powerful gravitational pull. Unfortunately, his energy begins running out, and he is eventually pulled inside the portal as well, though Earth remains safe. The people look toward the sky and realize that Ultraman sacrificed himself to save the planet. To them, it appears that their greatest protector is gone forever. However, unknown to humanity, Ultraman actually survives after being rescued by Zafi at the last possible moment. Zafi ultimately decides not to destroy Earth after witnessing humanity's strong will to survive. Instead of returning home, Ultraman chooses to remain connected to Earth. He revives Shinji completely and allows him to continue living as the planet's protector. Soon afterward, Shinji wakes up once again, surrounded by all of his friends. So, what did you think about this movie? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.